greetings, everyone. Yes, I say this every time. It is my favorite time of the week, of the month, because it is that first Tuesday, and it is Being Brown at Work Live. For those of you that are new to me, I'm Linda Talaferro from the TV Extra Effort, and this is Being Brown at Work, where we join with fabulous women like you see here, a new one to all of you, and we talk about critical topics that are plaguing us, some that are not, but and they're just opportunities. But our goal here is to give you tools and methodologies so you can get on the other side of what might be challenging you. And to you do not want to miss this month. I'm telling you, part one, part two is going to be fire. So you want to make sure that you are all to no distractions around you, notes and paper, for sure. And you want to be completely dialed in because this fabulous young woman I'm about to introduce to you is going to drop some gems today that are going to be career transformational for you. So let's dive into it. Keri-Lynne Shaw is the founder of the Salary Bump, empowering professionals to own their worth, navigate career transitions, and secure the pay they deserve. As a as a former chief people officer with extensive HR experience, KL has helped countless individuals articulate their value, negotiate effectively, and achieve transformative career growth. Her approach blends strategy, authenticity, and actionable tools that create win win outcomes in both salary negotiations and career advancement. Through her programs, KL inspires professionals to take the driver's seat in their careers. You guys know I always say you own your career. KL agrees. Take the driver's seat in their careers, design paths they love, and unlock their full potential. Welcome to Being Brown at Work Live, KL.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, it is an honor, total honor. KL, I'm gonna tell you, everyone, when I met this woman, and we've had a couple opportunities where we had some wonderful dialogue. I've learned so much. I wish I knew early on in my career. Wish I did. So that's why you want to listen up. We're just going to jump right in. KL, as I was reading your bio, it says that you were a chief people officer. And I'm sure some of your experiences with people in that environment, it might have been what led you to the salary bump, was it not?
Yeah, it was. So I spent actually 2/3 of my career in sales and marketing, and I fell into HR by complete accident. It
Ah,
was not ever, I didn't know how to spell it. It was not in my trajectory. And because maybe the HR that I experienced was more back office, they weren't
mm,
inside the business. I changed that when I came into HR. So my last decade was in HR, and I was very much embedded in the business. My team was embedded. We were running the business in like absolute focus.
wow.
Um, but what happened was I watched for that decade thousands of people that I interviewed and made offers to. Three key things stood out. Number one, most people did not know how to navigate their network, did not know
Mm,
how to build it, did not know how to nurture it. Second thing was they didn't know how to interview. And, they could have been the most fantastic leader, person, executor, individual contributor, and they mess up the interview badly and they don't get the offer. And the third piece was people just didn't negotiate well. So what, or
mm,
at all, frankly. So
mm,
I took notes throughout that 10 years. Obviously, I navigated my career quite beautifully, I would say,
yeah.
from a C-suite perspective. I did, I went all the way, but my network was magical. It was amazing, and I did a beautiful job networking, and I did it very naturally. So it wasn't
Yeah.
something that I like actually thought through and said, "Oh, I have to do X, Y, Z." It came quite naturally. And interviewing was also quite easy for me, where I
Uh-huh.
got tripped up. And I wish I knew me 20 years ago was
Uh-huh.
also in the negotiation. I listened to the noise, which was women are bad negotiators. So therefore
Mm,
I shouldn't even try.
mm-hmm.
Um, I can't possibly ask or they're going to think I'm greedy. Or in my early days, I didn't know I could ask.
Ah, there we go.
I
There we go.
worked for big companies who were like, this is your pay. I'm like, oh, great. You're
Oh,
going to give me
okay.
a car. You're going to give me an insurance and gas. Woo! I hit the jackpot. And a pension. Back in the day, that was
Yep,
the response.
that's
It's
right.
very, very different today. And so I watched people do the negotiation really well, took notes and built a program around it,
Mm,
framework. And it's game
fabulous.
changing.
Oh, I know it's game changing and therefore career changing, which then transcends to life changing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, clearly, KL. So a little bit back in the river, because I heard you say something and I don't want to just skip over it. You know, you did everything you just mentioned that were challenges, but you did them successfully to the C suite. So you were CHRO, right?
Yep.
Yes. So this is what, I
Mm.
know I often tell my clients when we sometimes read this, you don't get to the C-suite. Tell me if you agree with this statement. You don't get to the C-suite just on what you know. It's not just doing the tasks well, correct?
No, it's networking, it's leadership, it's how you
Yes.
show up, it's your mindset, it's how you talk about other people when they're not in the room, it's how you
Mm,
present yourself, it's how you manage your boss, it's how you manage several levels up. It's so many factors. It's how people are talking about you when you're not in the room. How are you
yes.
delivering? How are look, I can look back, Linda, and there were mistakes. If I look
Sure.
back, I said yes to every single thing. I jumped on every single project. I was everywhere. It was a pretty heavy hustle. I
Mm,
don't know that I would recommend that, to my daughter who's starting out
right.
in the industry
Yes.
now. Um, I was maybe looking for validation more than I should have. I think looking back, if I had invested in coaches or they even existed back then, I mean, cell phones and laptops barely existed.
Right. Exactly.
I'm old.
Exactly. No, I'm
Um,
with you.
right? The internet was,
Yeah,
new. People were
exactly.
still reading the newspaper.
Right.
So,
Right.
if the tools that are really in the environment that we have today, if they existed back then, oof, I think I would have got there a lot faster. But the investment in yourself, the
Yes.
inner work, how truly you want to navigate your life from the right mindset, an abundant
Yes.
mindset, not a scarcity mindset, and just how you
Ooh.
want to step into your light. If I
Yes.
knew what I know now 20 years ago, it would have even been a different ballgame.
Oh
I
my
wouldn't have
gosh.
been as stressed or worried, that's for
There
sure.
we go. I so can relate to that. KL, when you said scarcity mindset, I know that's how my career was early on as well. And then I had one of my guests say in the previous session, don't be so helpful. Because like you said, you raised your hand all the time, you were everywhere. I remember doing that as well. I was like, oh, there's a gap over there. Okay, yeah, I'll do it. Oh, yes, okay. And oh my gosh. I mean, it was for real a stressful hustle.
Yeah.
So that's why, Keri, I'm so honored that you're a guest this month because what you've experienced yourself personally and then what you've seen others go through, you have created a solution for, or at least I would say a proposed solution, right? A way to navigate and to avoid some of those pitfalls and have a successful career. Now, you guys, okay, don't think you're going to get the goodies tonight because you're not. You're going to have to come into part two, and she's going to give you those tools and methodologies. But Keri, if we could even like peel the onion in a little bit more, um, what would you say are some of the things that you have either yourself experienced or seen others outside of what we just said of raising our hand all the time? What are some of the other challenges that you see people are facing or things that they're doing that really aren't benefiting them, that they might think are the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's not going to be transitional or, as you like to say, game changing?
So I'd say confidence and ego, and there's a fine line. So
Whoa. Yeah.
I would say, I think people are very uncertain about how are they supposed to articulate their worth. Most of them don't even know their worth, number one, but how
Mm,
to articulate who I am, what I bring, how vulnerable I should or shouldn't be. So this confidence, I don't think in my 20s I was confident. I think I was fearless, but I was constantly worrying about, should I say that? Shouldn't I say that? What if I
Yes.
should say something because I'm in a meeting, and I should say something because otherwise, what am I doing in this meeting? Like, I was constantly worried about what other people would think and
Yes.
how I would show up. So there's a confidence piece. And then there's the people that show up overly confident, come
Mm.
across with a massive ego, which is generally an insecurity from my experience. If you come in so overzealous and you are constantly pounding, your chest and talking about yourself versus talking about the
Yeah.
team, it doesn't bode well for you
Right.
when you are also not in the room, because no one wants to work with you. So there's this fine line of, how do I show up? How do I articulate
Yes.
and not come across drippy gross?
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And KL, what would you say to those individuals that say, okay, I hear what you and Linda are saying, and I can't wait to get to part two, but KL said something that I just can't connect with because I'm not that person. When you said, oh, interviewing for me came pretty easy, networking for me came pretty easy. And I'm sure you may have heard this, people say this, oh, I'm such the introvert, I don't really like talking to people. I'm kind of shy, and so clearly I'm not going to be successful at networking. What would you say to
Hmm.
persons that just put themselves in that box and decide, okay, this isn't for me, it's not going to work?
Well, if you don't network, you're not going to navigate your career. Full stop. You will be an individual contributor and you will stay in your role. 80% of jobs are found via your network. So whether you are an introvert, extrovert, or a combo of the two, you have to find a way to authentically show up as your true self. So I'm going to give a nugget that I'm not going to save for part two.
Okay.
The most important thing that you can do is learn how to articulate your special gifts. So often, this is before I knew what an ikigai was, but if you know what an ikigai is,
Yeah.
I ask my clients 3 questions. I ask them, what are you really good at? Like, really good. What lights your fire? What do you love?
Mm.
And how do you, or are you, making an impact on the world? Answer
Mm.
those 3 questions and see what pops for you. Because when somebody asks you, well, tell me about yourself, which you're asked constantly
All the time.
in the Starbucks line, at a bar, at a restaurant, at a networking event, at work, in an
The
interview,
time.
you are constantly talking about who you are. That is your story. That is not your resume. That is not
Mm-hmm.
the last 5 jobs you've had. That is, who are you? What do you love? What are you really good at? And how do you want to make an impact on the world? If
Mm.
someone asks me that question, let's say I was interviewing for a CHRO role,
Yeah.
and they asked me that question, I'd say, well, I sold cars to pay for college, and I spent 20 years in automotive. I'm a gearhead and I ride a Harley. It's in my blood. I can't help myself. I am really, I think, put on this earth to help people unlock their potential. And I'm on a mission to close the gender and racial pay gap. And I'm so excited to be talking to you today. That is how I answer
Oh,
and articulate my story. And maybe I
wow.
would do it a little bit fancier than that. I just pulled that out of
But
my ear.
still,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that was awesome.
that person's going to say, I ride too. What do you ride?
Exactly.
Harley. Me too. I love Harley. Or they're going to say, oh my God, what do you drive? And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'm a BMW fan, man. Like, I spent 12 years. I can't help myself. But my dream car is a Porsche 911. And so then we'll talk a little about small
Yeah.
talk. I would even say that I would articulate it slightly differently in an interview, but I have done the work on knowing what my purpose is. And a lot of people that come to me, I will say, I'm working with a client right now. She goes, Kale, I need to get out. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I got to get out. I got to leave this company. I'm like, tell me more. She says, my parents are both accountants. I became an accountant. I hate accounting. I don't want to be an
Mm.
accountant.
Oh, wow.
And she's in her 40s And she's like, I don't know what I want to do next, but I
Wow.
want to work with you to help me figure it out. And I want you to help me proactively exit out of my company, which is a specialty that I developed. Um, and so we're going to do just that. So she has to learn her new story. But you know what? Part of
Yeah.
her story might be that
Yes.
I spent
I was
20
thinking
years
that.
as an accountant and I hate accountants. And guess what? I realized that my specialty is sales. And I'm thrilled to be talking with you and learning about who you are. I know I'm really good at XYZ, and I
Wow.
want to pivot, and I'm in this beautiful place in my life and my career that I get to do that. And I'm taking a very courageous choice to leave something that is stable, that, is a great income,
Yeah.
and I'm taking a risk on me. And so tell me about you. You're opening a door that you never would have opened if you hadn't shared a little piece of yourself, and this
Yes.
idea of being a little bit more vulnerable than you might normally be is, I believe, the ticket. And if the person you're sitting across does not care, does not want to hear it, thinks that it was oversharing, they're not your people.
There
So
you go. There you
next,
go.
next,
Th-
next.
there we go. And I'm so glad you said that piece because not everybody will be our people, which it also could translate that culture of that company may not be your company, right? So it might not be the boss you want to have if that, if it's coming across in a way that you're oversharing or it was unprofessional or whatever, that might come across. But Kale, oh my God, I wish I had you 30 years ago. I swear. Oh my gosh, I swear. I wish there was a Kale in my life back then
It's so much more
because
fun. Honestly, whether,
yes,
my clients stay with me for months, some longer, uh, it's so much more fun. I call myself a career roadie because I think it's more fun to have a passenger when you're on a road trip, and to have somebody that can help hold the mirror up and show you maybe your baby's ugly and you need to address
mm-hmm,
that. I've held it up to
mm-hmm,
myself and last year I hired 4 coaches myself. It's so helpful to have someone in your corner and someone guiding you
yes,
and giving you the tips and tools. You said something I wanted to come back to for a moment. Yesterday, I follow this guy on LinkedIn. His name's Dan Goodman. He helps a lot of people navigate their career and get out of situations.
mm-hmm,
Different approach, different style than me for sure. But he wrote something about never share anything personal with your boss ever yesterday. And I was like, yeah, you can't trust or whatever. And I thought, I
really,
commented and I said, an interesting perspective. There are amazing leaders out there. And I am not on social media bashing leaders and companies. I try to take a different approach, which is looking at the things that you can control. And if you
right,
want to share something with your boss, something personal, and your boss doesn't like it or is going to hold it against you, he is not someone you want to be working for, or she. So
there you
find
go,
the bosses that want to have a relationship and that want to help you develop and grow and have conversations and give you feedback. That is how you grow. And if you don't
yes,
grow, you're dead. So, like, find your people, find your company.
yes. KL, that is, to me, that is another nugget because I will tell you personally, I have had a leader like had been blessed to have more than one, but a particular one at a critical point in my career was that leader. I felt so comfortable working for him, for Scott Harrison. I could tell him when things were going on personally. And I realized that if I had learned this, I think either through a coaching session or something, that if I didn't do it, one, he can't read my mind or know, and then I'm going to show up professionally or show up in my environment, wade with that situation, and probably not perform at the level that I'm normally performing at. And if he doesn't know, right? Especially if he's the leader I built relationship trust, he can't support me or help me through that.
Yeah.
Right. So you're absolutely correct. Those leaders exist. The best feedback I've gotten in my career was from him. The reason why I am where I am today is because of him. He helped me transition from an individual contributor to an executive position and a people leader and doing so on point. And I'm so glad you said that. And I've had the opposite of that. And I chose, to your point, to take myself out of that environment with
We've
that.
all had one at least, Linda.
Yes,
We've all had one.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm so glad you shared that. And I wish I had seen that post because I would have joined you in a comment because
Yeah.
I disagree. I mean, that's his perspective,
Yeah.
but I had a different experience. I think it's valuable. I think it's powerful. I think it's courageous. I think it's so strength to be vulnerable and to share those personal pieces of yourself.
I agree. I don't want to live and work for someone or a company where I can't be my whole
No,
self. Look, you know,
exactly.
can you really bring your whole self to work? You at least need to bring your authentic self to work.
There you go.
Like,
Thank you for
who
saying
are
that.
you? Who do you want to be? What do you value? What do you care about? Share those in the interview. As much as a company is interviewing you, you are interviewing them. And like, let's talk about
Exactly right.
candidate experience for a moment.
Please.
I have clients who are interviewing in different streams. And, one in particular who had 10 interviews for one job at a company, 10. So, and another at the same time, the second one was so fast, made her the offer so quickly. These guys were dragging their feet. You'll hear from us in a couple of weeks. She wrote to them and said, I've accepted another role. And they're scrambling. Well, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. We want, let it, you know what? I'm so turned off by you now.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's like there's a process in HR to have effective recruiting processes. Leaders need to be much faster, much smarter, much more thoughtful. Stop ghosting people. Give feedback, take the time. It's really rough out there for candidates, and I don't underestimate that. But coming back to my earlier point, 80% of jobs are found via your network.
Network.
So stop posting on LinkedIn and crossing your fingers someone's going to see your resume come through. Start building
Exactly.
your network, start nurturing your existing network, get out there, start posting on LinkedIn, have a brand presence, have a thought leadership position, and start actively finding people on LinkedIn, engaging in their content. That's how we met.
Yes.
Me, I meet random people, 15 to
Yes.
20 new people a week, random strangers that
Random.
could change my life, that can change your life.
Exactly.
So get out
Exactly.
there, start networking, and start being able to articulate and practice telling your story.
It is so powerful. That is how we met. And you're going to transition my podcast being brought at work because of your presence and because of your expertise, which I would have never gotten had we not connected, had we not networked. So I know it works in every aspect of my life. It's powerful in my career and it's powerful in business for me. And it's powerful just frankly as a human being. I love going to even virtual events and connecting with people. I just connected virtually to several people. We all listened to a webinar and we were posting, and we ended up connecting. You know, that was another way of networking. And now we're communicating on LinkedIn. We don't live in the same area, so we can't hook up in person. But if we ever are, we said, hey, we want to connect in person. So I so strongly agree with you, believe in all of what you just said regarding networking. I didn't know the stat though. And so I'm so glad you shared that statistic because I think
Alarming.
it's so alarming, but it's necessary for people to know it and to understand the power of networking. And you're right. You said it earlier. You can dismiss it and just understand where that puts you in your career,
I
right? And
will
you can
say,
just
Linda, one other thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, yeah,
There is so much power in communities that exist out there. So I'm contemplating launching a community that would basically be your career engine that never ever stops, that you would be part of for your entire career, because there's so many station stops that you are constantly
yeah.
developing and growing. But there are communities out there that I'm part of. Luminary is one of them. Kate Luzio, it's a
Heard of
beautiful
Luminary.
community, 12,000 people. They have so many
Oh,
amazing virtual events, in-person events. I'm part of the Outlier Project, where like the people in that have become my best
is
friends.
that from the book Outlier?
No,
Oh, because that was a fabulous book. But go
Scott,
ahead.
his name's Scott McGregor. It's a
Okay.
beautiful, beautiful community. I'm part of the board, which is fractional C-suite
Ah,
leaders. I am meeting so many incredible people. And I will say this, I have one regret. I was very good at networking inside my companies. I worked for two massive companies, 125,000 employees, BMW and General Motors,
Okay.
both huge. I had no time to network outside. But it was
Mm,
a mistake. I did a great job inside networking. I really, really established myself in a beautiful way. But I wish I would have been more intentional about my external network. Communities
wow.
and such didn't really exist back
Yeah,
then. I had a
they
small
didn't.
child I was
True.
raising by myself for a period of time. Like
Sure.
I was just barely surviving. So
Sure.
I didn't know, I couldn't go to networking events and such. But today there is so much at your fingertips.
A
Show
lot.
up. LinkedIn Lives, they're every day.
All the
Show up and
time.
learn, show up and learn, show up and network. And if someone that inspires you, I mean,
Yeah.
I meet random strangers every single day. Reach out to me.
Yeah.
I'll have a conversation with you. I'll help
Yeah.
you get connected. I'll introduce you to people. And
Okay,
every,
you guys hear that? No excuse now because
yeah,
you met KL, so you can reach out and connect. LinkedIn, connect with her. Yes.
at the end of every networking call, I always recommend, is another really good nugget. Based on this amazing conversation today, is there anyone in your network that you think I should meet?
I'm gonna start doing that. I
That's
love that,
way
KL.
nicer than saying, "Can you introduce me to someone in your," like boring. Like no one wants to connect with you if you're a dud. Like, come on, friends, get out there.
I love
So
that.
be more
Yes.
engaging. Like,
Yes.
how can I support you, Linda? If you're kind enough to network with me and I am looking for a new job, let's say, and we have a nice conversation and it's cool, and then if I ask you, Linda, how can I support you? Do you think that at the end, when I ask Linda,
Yeah.
is there anyone you think I should meet in your network? You think Linda might help me because I just offered to support her? I mean, come on,
Boom.
it's not that hard. Like,
It's
I want,
not.
I help you, you help me, you help my daughter, I help. Like, let's rock and roll.
It's
Let's help
not.
each other.
Yes. Oh my God. Can we say it again? Let's help each other. Look, those of you, we're going to be wrapping this part one here. I know this was everything to you because it was everything to me, and I'm on the other end of my career. I wish I had all of this KL in my life 30 years ago, but we've got her in my life. And I'm going to tell you what, although I am at this point in my career, there were some nuggets today that I'm going to implement. I'm just going to be
Mm.
real with all y'all. Your girl's going to implement them. So I highly recommend that if you didn't get to join us for this entire live, catch it on the replay. Listen to it several times. Please do, because what you want to do is be prepared for part two in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
where she is going to give you some serious nuggets. I already had the inside scoop of what she's going to talk about, and you do not want to miss it. Most importantly, though, please reach out to KL. You'll find her on LinkedIn. She has a website. If there's any part of what was shared today that you're unsure about, or you've got some questions, I know KL would be happy to have a conversation with you to more explore whatever it is that wasn't quite clear for you. But for now, we are going to wrap this Bring Brown at Work live session. And I'm telling you, seriously, you don't want to miss in 2 weeks. You do not want to miss it.
Thank you.
KL, it was such an honor. I knew this was going to be everything. I knew it was going to be fire, and it was
Thank you.
fire. And I can't wait for 2 weeks. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And I know what's going to happen in 2 weeks. I just can't wait. They don't know, but I know. That's what I tell
See
you
you
guys.
later.